Let's get back to the Celtics now, and it's been nearly a week since Jaylen Brown became eligible to agree to a 5-year, $300 million supermax extension. Now, the Globe's Adam Himmelsbach did reporting yesterday that Brown and the Celtics are expected to talk at the Las Vegas Summer League, which began tonight. And we got Celtics insider Chris Forsberg, who's joining us now from Vegas. And Chris, I guess before we get into it, and get everyone's thoughts on where we stand, because when we talked a week ago and you said 12:02, maybe you start to worry about why Jaylen Brown hasn't signed that supermax. Anything to report? Because, talks are supposed to ensue when everyone gets together out there.
Yeah, so Jaylen Brown is here, and I think he's throwing a little party for the first-year players, an NBPA event. I assume the Celtics brass will be out here as well, and there will be an opportunity to talk, and that will maybe get this thing moving a little bit more than it has. Again, all indications have been that there's nothing to worry about, that there's not some sort of roadblock that they've hit in the early days for whatever reason. There's just been a lot of patience with when they want to kind of launch into this thing, and every indication has been that they will eventually get a deal done. So eager to see if having everybody in the NBA universe sort of under this basketball sphere will get that to a finish line.
So, John, I want to get your thoughts on this too, because for me, it's kind of, well, if this is such a no-brainer and both sides agree like this is going to happen, then why hasn't it happened yet? Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, I'm just sort of like, what is there to negotiate? You know the number of years, you know the number of dollars. I'm trying to remember, Forsberg, have there been any other of these obvious supermax extensions that get dragged out? I fully expect he'll sign it because I don't know what the alternative is unless, I guess, they trade him. But it's not like he's going anywhere. Is there any scenario, I guess I'll put it this way to you, Chris, is there any scenario where Jaylen Brown doesn't want to sign the supermax?
So I can't think of one, because the money is just so much more than what he can get anywhere else that even if you just wanted to wait a year and figure it out, there doesn't seem to be any reason why right now he'd be like, don't want to be in Boston. So I just, all signs to me point to this thing getting done. I did go back, and if you look at the dates that a lot of these supermaxes get done, it's been a little bit into July 8th, July 7th. But you brought up a good point. Like, what is there to negotiate? Why could there even be a little bit of a holdup? I'll throw a few things at you. Players always in this position, they want all the money they can get, and I don't think the Celtics are going to, mess around with that. Jaylen Brown was on a very team-friendly deal coming off his rookie contract, and I think they understand he's earned that right to get the big payday now. And I don't know if 32% over 35% changes your long-term outlook, but certainly if he would be willing to do that to help you build a roster, it just doesn't usually work that way. Players want their money. But what you could possibly get is, okay, if we're going to give you $307 million, or whatever the crazy number is going to be once they land on that cap number next year, is can you not have a player option in the final year? Can you not have a no trade? Like, there's little stuff to negotiate that players and their agents might dig in and try to get, and there might be stuff that the Celtics are like, look, we're committing a lot of money to you. We want to have a little bit of flexibility and the long-term security knowing you're here. And so I think those are the little things that, again, it feels like a couple quick texts and should be on our way, but history does suggest it takes a little bit to get the finish line.
Okay, so if it's taken this much time, and again, we're a week into it, do you think they get something done by the time the NBA Summer League, and I'll be honest, I don't even know how long the NBA Summer League runs out there in Vegas and how long everyone's going to be there, but do you think that they leave Vegas with this thing all sorted out?
Look, I'll put it this way, Giles. I think it runs through the 17th, but I am here through Sunday night. I fully expect by the time I get on a plane to come home that we will have heard something, and it'll either be getting to the finish line or it'll be done. I can't imagine it continues to drag out. Part of me just wonders if they're waiting for the right moment for him to be sort of in the spotlight, because this is going to be the richest contract in NBA history. For a player, it's something to celebrate. I wonder if it's just like, okay, let's make sure that instead of all the focus being on Damian Lillard, instead of it being on Wembanyama playing behind me, let's let Jaylen Brown have that spotlight and celebrate him for that day. And so I wonder if that plays into it at all about how they're lining this all up.
Yeah, I guess I'll just say very quickly, Chris, the only thing that worries me is I think we can all agree that Jaylen has not fully embraced Boston like, say, a Marcus Smart did, or like a Jason Tatum is starting to. And so that, I think, is just going to be in the back of all of our heads until his name is on a contract. Is that somehow playing into a holdup?
I don't think so. Again, there's been no indication from the people that are talking. And look, both sides are very tight-lipped. Like Jason Glushon, his agent, knows the Celtics play stuff close to the vest. There's not going to be, when Brad operates, it's typically in silence. And the one time that the details came out, that trade fizzled. So I think they're just being a little cautious with how they proceed. I don't see that being a holdup. I think, we've certainly heard Jaylen say he wishes that Boston had wrapped its arms around him a little bit more. And, from draft night in the booze to just always being sort of the other guy next to Tatum. But I don't know. Once that money commitment is there, I think Jaylen knows that he's appreciated in Boston.